Welcome to another underperforming video on YouTube. In this video, I drive the Tesla Model Y Performance from San Diego, California to Florida. I will do this with the help of Diego, my nephew, who is 19 years of age. I have to be in Destin, Florida in time in order to pick up my wife Lucero from the airport. For that, I have 50 hours. Will we make it in time? These are the reasons I am driving there instead of flying. Number 1, I love driving. 2, I hate flying. And 3, my wife paid almost $1,400 for her round trip ticket. That made up my mind really quick. In this video, I will bring you the reality of driving an EV across the United States. The day is here, we're driving to Destin, Florida. It's crazy, I thought about it and I still want to do it. My wife didn't want to come with me, so she's flying out there. She's going to get there on Friday, right after I get there, so I'll be there in time to pick her up. We're going to a place called Destin, Florida, and as far as I know, it's a small airport, so it doesn't have a lot of options when it comes to flying. So it's a long trip, nevertheless, for her, and it is going to be longer for me. Google said it's going to take me about 31 hours to get there, and as I learned on my trip to Vegas, we're not going for time, so I'm just going to relax and take my time. In fact, in 20 minutes, we're going to stop for dinner at a place called Autopilot, California. We're going to stop for sushi. And what I want to do to keep it fair is I'm going to deduct all the extra stops that I do on my own for my own personal reasons. And I'll see you how it goes. This is the longest trip ever. The longest I ever driven a car is 1,600 miles, and it was into Mexico from California all the way to the state of Zacatecas. But I have never been as far as Florida. Why are you doing the drive?
It's Miami, baby.
You're crazy, man. You know it's gonna take us over one day, right?
It's worth it.
31 hours.
It's worth it. Definitely worth it.
Well, we'll see about that. Are you gonna help me drive?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Have you ever driven a Tesla before?
No, but I'm pretty sure they're fast.
We're here in Yuma, Arizona, charging for the first time. We left our home about 3 hours ago, and we stopped for some sushi down in the mountains in Alpine, California, and then now we're in Yuma, Arizona. It's totally empty here, so that's a huge advantage because the charger is going super fast right now, over 400 miles per hour, so that's pretty good. The longer charging stops give us time to get a quick workout out of the way. Since healthy snack choices are limited near charging stations, I put a cooler in the trunk and filled it with fruit and cold water. I'm happy to inform you that most of the chargers along Highway 10 are usually empty, especially at night, unlike the superchargers in San Diego that are pretty busy almost all of the time. They're so empty that random vehicles can take the charging stalls without restrictions, like in this case. It does not look like an EV. Okay, you've seen me drive for the last, 7 hours, 8 hours? Yeah. You know what to do, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Diego took over the wheel for 2.5 hours, which didn't help me rest because he was terrible at single pedal driving and he wasn't used to the more sensitive steering wheel in the Model Y. So I only slept for about 20 minutes. I also noticed that many of the supercharging stations outside of California are conveniently located in truck stops with full amenities. My body just collapsed after 11 hours on the road and I had to book a hotel which was completely out of schedule. I couldn't sleep at all, so I decided to resume our trip after about 3 hours of doing nothing. At this point, I had been awake for about 32 hours minus the 20-minute nap. We stopped at my in-laws to drop off some stuff, stopped by Target, and got back on the road. Quickly, I realized that I had made some mistakes. I really think I made a mistake by driving from California to Florida. The car is doing great. I mean, it's comfortable and everything, but it's just the beating on the body. Yesterday, I left home at about 6:30, and I think I should have left maybe by midnight or into the morning, but I just drove all night, and about 8 in the morning, I just crashed. Shortly after midnight, we booked another hotel in the outskirts of Austin, Texas, hoping that I could get some much needed rest. The hotel looked way better online than it actually was, but I was able to sleep about 6 hours like a baby. Completely rejuvenated, I got back on the road. Diego still had some unfinished business to take care of. He was exhausted from all those 2.5 hours of driving. I continued to feel great for the next few hours. Charging times gave me time to stretch my legs, do some soul searching, and eat more bananas. Diego did not volunteer to drive. I thought he loved the Model Y, so what happened? Another day, another workout. Time to have some fun. What do you think? Okay, that's it. That's half the battery. I haven't left Texas, and my wife just got on the plane. Will she beat me? We're kind of very, very, very close. I love how the supercharging station says that you can use the bathrooms at Dollar Tree like the stores next door. Something else I noticed is that outside of California, which is inundated with Teslas of all models, you don't see a lot of them. Actually, EVs from any manufacturer are a rare sighting. After over 49 hours of driving, I came face to face with a harsh reality. At this point, I'm sad to announce that we might be out of the race. My brother-in-law is gonna have to pick up my wife because she's gonna get there before I get there. So I'm not gonna be available to pick her up from the airport, but now what I wanna find out is if I'm gonna be able to get to the house before they do, because I think she lands somewhere after 11 o'clock. So I'm unsure what's the local time right now. My Tesla says 9:15, but I think that's the California time. My phone says 11:15, but only a miracle will put me ahead of my wife at the final destination. It was raining cats and dogs in the south, which affected navigating on autopilot. The car kept giving me messages of the cameras being obstructed or dirty, which wasn't the case. This kept happening off and on for a few hours. We stopped for a last scheduled charging session and charged for what the trip planner told me I needed to charge. This is going to get very tricky, but more about this later. Check out this immense gas station, 124 fueling positions, the biggest one I have ever seen. Buc-ee's claims to have the largest fueling stations in the whole world. And about the dreaded range anxiety, the incredibly vast Tesla Supercharger network did not leave room for any range anxiety, which is great news. It allowed me to drive the Model Y at high speeds without any fear of running dry. So it felt great not having to wonder if I'll make it to the next station, as there was one always available even in the middle of nowhere.
Juan Carlos, we're waiting for you.
I failed to beat my wife to the destination. As you can see, it was late and I was tired after driving for about 15 hours straight.
How did it go? You're like, never doing this again.
Yeah,
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh yeah. We need. There's some beautiful homes here.
I wonder how much it is.
We had a great but rather brief time in Destin. Destin is a small, beautiful beach town in the northwestern part of Florida. It welcomed us with no supercharging stations. I didn't account for this, and we arrived to our destination with less than 50 miles of range, and the nearest Tesla charger was 35 miles away. In real life, I would have been cutting it really, really close, so I had to find a destination charger, and the one I found was very, very slow. I left it there the whole day, and it charged enough to make it comfortably to the supercharging on our way back the next day. Needless to say, I did not move the Model Y at all the whole weekend, and I couldn't show it off to my brother-in-law.
I'll let him go like a minute on each side. Bonita que fuera mejor.
Yeah.
Oye Juan, en el verano me gusta que parece, imagínate, todo esto bien, no hay aparte. Y'all gonna have to come back then.
On the way there, the trip planner took us off Highway 10 for long stretches in Texas, and I wanted to ask for a second opinion regarding the way back. When I went to Vegas, I did my own thing, and it took me longer. So this time, the car's supposed to do that for me. It's supposed to map out all the charges that I need, right? So when I was doing that, next thing I know, it started taking me through some beer towns on the whatever highway. And I didn't stay on the 10. But when I look at the shortest route, it's on the 10. It just makes no sense that it wouldn't take me on the 10. Maybe because of accidents, maybe because of whatever. Yeah. But I ended up like in some small town.
That's the only logical reason is because there's accidents. But if I were you, I'd follow the 10. Because the 10 is going to hit every major city in each one of the states that you're going to go through from here to California. So, you know, you're going to go here to Pensacola, to Mobile, to New Orleans, to Beaumont, to Houston. And you're going to hit all the small major cities all the way through Texas. You get to El Paso, Tucson, Phoenix, all the way to California. And at the end of the day, I know Tesla and Mr. Musk, I'm sure has that figured out with a car smart enough to tell you.
For this section of the video, I want to focus on how I apply what I learned from the way there. First, we left early in the morning instead of late in the day, and the plan was to drive all day and then rest at night like normal human beings. We skipped breakfast in order to get on the road as early as possible. A short Walmart stop and we were on the road by 7:30 in the morning, which was a total success. Navigate home. So, dude, I charge like 500 miles an hour, like super quick. But the thing is, it doesn't. I think it doesn't make sense that it takes me off the main route, the Highway 10. On the way back, I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna stay on the 10 and wing it." But since what you're saying makes sense. The weather's pretty bad, and I had a conversation over the phone with the Tesla owner. He's had this car for over 2 years, and he's put about 60,000 miles in that car. If not more, 2 years, because he uses it for what it's for. So I figured, hey, I can always use the voice of experience to learn what to do in this situation regarding the way back. He told me to stick to the route planner, so that's what I'm doing. And we're crossing the Mississippi. Nothing like driving on a well-rested body. We stopped many times and were conscious of time and did quick workouts here and there. We needed more mercury in our bodies, so we stopped for some sushi on the go. After about 16 hours of driving, we stopped to rest. It felt awesome. I was ready to face another day-long beating. Some of the charger stations were now familiar places, which helped us with time management.
The speed limit in some of these places is 75 miles to 80 miles an hour. So when you start going those speeds, you cover more distance, but at the same time, it will ask you to stop more. So I wanted one of you genius to help me out with this equation. Is it better to go faster and stop more times, or is it better to keep it below a certain speed and stop less time? Because I guess everything is projected in the computer based on the driving pattern. Am I starting to look like Tom Hanks in Castaway?
Diego had to be voluntold to drive as he wasn't stepping up. I did drive for the first 1,400 miles myself. He drove for a couple of hours. During his stretch in New Mexico, we faced winds of over 20 miles an hour and the Model Y suffered in range. I guess it will be the same thing it will happen to a gas engine car. It went through the charge quickly at about 25% below EPA. Please note that we were traveling at a consistent speed of 75 miles per hour, which was the speed limit in New Mexico. I calculated the effective driving time to be around 47.5 hours for the way there and about 40 hours for the way back. We were able to improve the speed average for the way back from about 47.125 to 51.25 miles per hour, which is an improvement of about 8.5%. Not bad considering the circumstances. As far as the cost of charging, it was $0 because remember, I have free supercharging miles thanks to you. 51.25 miles per hour is not great considering that for long stretches of Texas, the speed limit was 80 miles per hour, 75 in Arizona and New Mexico, and about 70 miles per hour in most of California. And I didn't run into a lot of major traffic congestions.
We are in Tucson, it's 8:30, and we've been driving since 7 in the morning, Texas time. So what is that, about 14 hours? And I think I'm about still like 8 hours away from San Diego. I'm gonna pull through because I just don't want to pull over and rest. It's hard to make a road trip this long in an electric vehicle. The time that you waste, every time you get off the road, you waste time. I think we're being a little bit faster on the way here. Well, I'm about 90% of the way. What the f was I thinking? I was on the road for about 100 hours combined, and I was at my destination for about 50 hours. California to Florida, electric car. Is it doable? Yes. And I'm glad I did it because nobody can come and tell me what it's all about. There's so many good things I can say about my car. It is so comfortable. If it only wasn't an electric car. When I Googled this and it said more or less about 31 hours to 33 hours to get there, I had an estimation that I could do it there in about 40 hours. But it was fun and it was worth it.
Without trying to sound too negative, I would like to advise you that on a trip like this in an EV, you must plan for an extra night of sleep, which will make the trip more expensive. If a 2,000-mile trip adds at least an additional 8 hours of driving, then that's a full day of work, which deems as many hours of rest, especially if you're old like me. I slept for most of the morning, and later that day I went to detail the Model Y. The car was so filthy that I didn't want to wash it myself, so I had to go to my friends with DS Auto Detail. They always do a good job, they're very affordable, they try their best to please customers, so I'm always here with my cars. We got here at past 4 in the morning. It was a long way back. I was able to correct some of the mistakes that I made on the way there, but still, it was hard to shave any time off that drive. Would I do it again? Probably not. As much as I love driving, that was just an extreme torture to drive from California to Florida. I thought I had another trip scheduled for Arkansas for October, and I don't think it's gonna happen. But if it does, I probably won't take this car. I would probably drive. I just wouldn't take an EV at this point in my life. It's just too long. But the good news is that having a Tesla was the easiest way to do a trip cross country in an EV because of the obvious advantage of the Supercharger Network. And the full self-driving, oh my God, is so good because you just set it and forget it. I mean, yes, you're still driving the car, you're still in charge of the car, but the car is doing all the grunt work for you, and you're just supervising that the car is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It keeps you in the lane, keeps up with traffic, slows down, resumes, does everything for you. So as long as you're paying attention, it's a great feature to have. So that in itself makes this car a pleasant experience to drive.
because it's not tiring at all. It's not strenuous on your body as it would be on a regular car. But then add 25% to your time of driving. So imagine driving 3 hours and then stopping for 1 hour. Other than that, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button, and if you haven't done so, please consider subscribing. Also, for those of you that want to have your car review on my channel, please drop me a line, and I'll leave my address, my email address on the description below, and because I'm looking for cars to review here in the San Diego area. Thank you. I'll see you next time.